What's going on? It's your brother YK the Truth, and I'm back with another video. And in this video, I will be critiquing Dane Calloway's Why American Indians Were Labeled Black. And I want you to remember the title of this video. Let's go.
Who are you? You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro?
Now let's stop right there, because I gotta stop this video from time to time to avoid a copyright. Because the last time I made a video debunking Dane Calloway, I was issued a strike. And I was threatened to be sued by his lawyer. Alright? So, with that being said, I will leave my commentary. This is an educational review. This does not fall under copyright. Alright? Now, Dane Calloway wants you to believe that Malcolm X thinks that we are aboriginal to America. This is what he's doing. He's taking Malcolm X's words out of context. Alright? Aborigine could mean anybody all over the world that was there first. Alright? It could be Aborigines in Australia, Aborigines in Africa. Anywhere you go and you was there first, you are native to that land. Do you get what I'm saying to you? It doesn't mean that Malcolm X believes that we are aboriginal to this land. And he's actually going to show you. Listen, just listen.
And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then?
Let's go back. Listen. Listen. Listen.
Who are you? You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing. What were you before the white man named you a Negro? And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then? 20 million black people don't even know their own language. What?
Now let's stop right there. Right? Malcolm X said 20 million black people don't even know their own language. Right? Did he say 20 million Indians don't know their own language? No. Did he say 20 million Aborigines don't know their own language? No. He said 20 million blacks. Right? Let's keep going.
Why? Because he took it away from me.
Right. Now, let me ask you a question, right? This is for my so-called black Indians, right? How could you let somebody come to your land and make you forget who you were? Not all natives were enslaved people. You had free natives. So how did you let the white man come to your home and let you forget your own language? See, y'all give the white man too much damn credit. You're saying that you didn't leave no types of writings on the walls, no types of carvings, no type of literature. He just destroyed your whole language. How stupid can you be? How? Most of the Africans that were brought to America, right? They couldn't practice their own language. They couldn't speak it. Right? They couldn't practice their own religion. But guess what? Those same African people that's in Africa, they still can speak their African tongue in their homeland. So how is it, my dear American Indians, that you are in America, in your home, and you don't know your own language, when there's relatives running all over America? How did the white man make you forget? Were your ancestors that stupid? Let's keep going.
20 million black people who don't even know the history of their ancestors. Why? Because he took it away from them.
And you should feel ashamed, Dane, using Little Yachty as someone we should actually go to and believe.
And if you try and tell them how
These celebrities, I guess it's, if a celebrity say it's true, then it must be true, right? Negative.
completely they've been robbed, he says you're teaching hate. Dark people who have been oppressed and exploited by those who are not their own kind, strangers. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
Now look, he uses Malcolm X. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself, man. I'm going to show you what Malcolm X said we come from. Malcolm X has said numerous times, we come from Africa. Why are you ashamed to be called African? So for you to keep playing this clip, it's ridiculous to me. And I see why you stay in your echo chamber on YouTube and you don't have no real debates, no real, one-on-one with other people who believe the opposite of what you do. You stay safe. You stay hidden. Now look at the title. Why American Indians were labeled black. Well, Malcolm X just said you guys will be rather called American. Then you gonna say why American Indians, so you want to be called American. He just said that. He said you would rather be called American than Aborigine. And you title your video, American Indians were labeled black. If this is not tomfoolery, I don't know what it is. I don't know what is. But let's debunk this video.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine.
You never find a white Aborigine, which means, Dane Calloway, that there are more than one Aborigine. You have to see, you guys don't know how to put things in context when you hear these. When you hear words, you get real excited because you need that evidence because you're desperate. You'll never find a white Aborigine. So that goes to show you that all Aborigines are not the same. That's why just because you have color doesn't mean you are the same genetically. Just because you're brown doesn't mean you are the same genetically. Let's keep going.
Rather, Aborigines are called natives. dark-skinned people.
You see? You see that? Whether they are called native, they are always dark-skinned people. But that's not talking about us. That don't mean that we are those people. It just means that those people who were here to this land had color. It doesn't mean that they are us. It just means that they are not white. Even though they had fair-skinned Indians here too. But they had color. Doesn't mean that they were us. Doesn't. And I wish, this is the main thing that I would want. I want our, so-called Indian people to understand, is that just because you have color and pigmentation doesn't mean you are the same people. Let's go.
Aborigine, but you don't like to be called an Aborigine. You want to be called an American.
Exactly. You want to be called an American. Why American Indians were labeled black? Who said you was American? Who said you was an Indian? Those are labels that were given to you by the European. But you're perfectly okay with that. But you are not okay with being called black. Total contradiction. And I'm already 1 minute and 46 seconds of this video. And I already debunked pretty much the whole video. Because for one, there's many different Aborigines all over the world. You got Aborigines in Australia. So are they us too? Are we the same people that's in Australia? Are we the same people that's in Africa? If so, how did we get there? Because Dane Calloway wants us to believe that this whole thing was told in reverse. Right? So if it was told in reverse, where are those slave ships at, Mr. Dane Calloway? Where are those slave ships that you continue to ask us Pan-Africans, as you guys would like to say, boats and ships? Where are those ships at? You can't have your cake and eat it too. It was told in reverse. How? How, Sway? How was it told in reverse if it was impossible for you to travel across the transatlantic without a steamboat? Remember, that's what you said, Dane Calloway? There were no steamboats. Do you want me to play the video? I can play the video for you. Let's keep going. This is easy. Easy work. See, you do have really good editing skills. I give you that. I commend you on your editing skills, your production. But when it comes to the information, you lacking, bruh.
Aborigine actually means from the beginning.
Exactly. It means from the beginning. So it has nothing to do with Indians or you.
Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning.
You can't take it out of context, no matter how many times you want to chop and screw it and play it back. You can't do it. It just means that you were there from the beginning. And Malcolm X is talking about the earth. The earth. And not just America. The entire earth. From the beginning. Let's keep going.
Now, in today's society of America, millions of so-called African Americans are struggling to come to grips with their true identity.
You know why? Why, Dane Calloway? Why are they struggling to come to grips with their identity? I'm going to tell you why. Because when they were brought from another place, they had that identity stolen away from them. Okay? Stripped away from them. It's sort of like when you take an animal from its natural habitat and you put them in a cage. And if you take that animal and you release that animal back into the wild, that animal will most likely not be able to survive because it's been enslaved, and it had its its genetics and its intuition to survive and its instincts to survive removed from them. This is why we're confused. But nobody should be able to have someone come to their land and their habitat and make them forget who they are in their own environment. In their own environment. You're not going to convince a damn shark he's not a shark when he's swimming in the water, in the ocean. You're not going to convince a monkey that he's not a monkey if he's swinging on the trees in Africa. You can't do it. You're not going to convince a native that he's not a native when he's home. You're not going to convince an African that he's not an African when he's in Africa. This is why it was easy for us to have our language and our tongue stolen from us. This is why it was easy. Because we was brought to a foreign land and we were beat for speaking any other language. We were beat for practicing any other religion besides Christianity. Let's go, man. I'm not playing with you.
Culture, heritage, and history, mainly due to the numerous manipulative tactics utilized to govern their critical thinking mechanisms, and to all.
There's no tactics you can do to make somebody forget who they are in their own environment. There are no tactics you can do.
So decimate their literacy capabilities. Each one of these manipulative social engineering experiments can only be detected.
You see, this is what I call pure conspiracy. It's pure conspiracy. Oh, it's social engineering and social experiments. Well, how come those same social experiments, if you go to Africa, you got Africans that speak English, worship Jesus Christ, and still know their damn language, and still know their African gods? Huh? You still have colonialism in Africa. All of these things, Europeans have been in Africa. Racism in Africa. Slaughters in Africa. But guess what? Africans still know their language. They still have their culture. They still know their religion. So why are these experiments only successful in America and not over there in Africa? Because it's cap.
And detached from one's subconscious when standing outside of the box. I'll let you ponder on what's happening to those that are still inside of it.
No, don't let us ponder, because you sound fancy with these old big words, but you're just saying a bunch of bullshit. And I mean that respectfully. You're saying absolutely nothing. It's conspiracy theory without evidence, without facts. What was the experiment that made your Indian people forget who they were? And let's see if it adds up. What experiment caused them to forget that they were Indians, bro? In their own land, in their own home.
Meanwhile, you have not and will not ever hear me promote any form of religion throughout any of my content that I present to the public.
Now, what does that have to do with the price of rice in China? We don't care about religion. We want to know, what was the experiment that was done to make the Indians forget their language and their cultures?
Reason being is due to religion, faith, and beliefs being based on one's personal relationships. And I am not here to debate nor argue about...
All right, so why bring it up? If you're not here to debate religion, why bring it up? Why go off topic? Why are we doing this? Why are we not talking about the experiment that was done to make Indians forget who they were? Peep game.
About who you should or should not love. That's simply none of my business. So let's also be sure to not...
Let's get back to what was the experiment? Because I don't know why you talking about religion, bro.
Confuse the truth that I present throughout my content with any personal beliefs that you may have. Now in this segment, you will learn about who you truly are and where you really came from based on truthful information. Because mind you, there is a big difference.
Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Come on.
Between truth and facts. Facts are merely controversial information.
Yo, he didn't get to the experiment yet. 5 minutes in this video. And I did not, I don't know why Americans were labeled black. A whole 5 minutes has passed. And not one time did he tell me why Americans were labeled black.
Whereas a person bears the opinion to debate its credibility or not. That's yet another form of belief. Whereas the truth is non-debatable due to its credibility of always making logical sense.
Now, do y'all see this? Do you see this? Am I tripping? Is he just showing you a bunch of pictures and just playing a bunch of spooky music? Do y'all not see this? It's just like a bunch of wasted time on the clock. Dane Calloway, why were American Indians labeled black?
This is why in today's society, most people don't even care about the truth. Why? Well, because to them, unfortunately, a lie is more entertaining.
Exactly. And this is why you continue to promote these lies, because they are more entertaining. People don't want the truth. They want the lies. And this is why you're doing good with these numbers. Because people don't want to be called African. They want to be called American. Indians. RIP to Renuko Rashidi. He said people would rather be called turds in a toilet than to be called an African.
So now let's start with March 1st, 1790, when then President...
Now let's see if this has anything to do with why American Indians were labeled black. Let's see.
And George Washington and Vice President John Adams, along with Speaker of the House Frederick Muhlenberg, signed the 1790 Census Act. According to the census itself, it states that the 1790 Census Act is a law that, quote, required that every household be visited, that completed census schedules be posted in 2 of the most public places within each jurisdiction, there to remain for the inspection of all concerned, and that the aggregate amount of each description of persons for every district be transmitted to the president. So let me point out that some households.
Now, see, we talking about the Census Act, and this is good for you locating your genealogy and stuff like that, because you had to document the people. This is something that was actually good, because without this Census Act, a lot of us, especially African Americans, we weren't so-called African Americans, we wouldn't know who our ancestors were. And a lot of times we hit a brick wall because there was no Census Act. This is why you don't find many records, because there wasn't much that was documented for chattel slavery. Our ancestors were considered chattel. So we should be thankful for the Census Act. Thankful.
Not all were visited by these individuals entitled as census enumerators, also known as census takers, who are technically federal government unsupervised employees who allegedly went from town to town, city to city.
Now you see the words, you see the language that he's using. This is what you call biased information. Allegedly. So these federal writers, no, it's not allegedly. This is what they did. We have them on record doing this. How do you think we have a lot of these slave narratives? See, he jumped from the Census Act. He jumped from the Census Act to the Federal Writers Project. This is what I believe he's doing. But like I said, this is not something that's allegedly. This is something that actually happened. It was actually people who went around and did it. You know how I know? Because I actually see the list of those people that's from my family. I've done my genealogy. So I know for a fact that there were people who did it. There's no allegedly. You can't sell a book on how to trace your genealogy, Dane, and then say that this was allegedly. No, it wasn't based on their own perception. They also asked those people who they were. Who's your mother? Who's your father? Is he a native? Is he a color? Is he mixed? They asked questions. That's how they documented it. Let's go.
And their opinions were considered to be official historical records of information, even though they did not count every individual living within the United States due to the multiple indigenous Niji raids and rebellions occurring during this time period. The alleged first...
That don't matter. That's you're reaching. That doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with why American Indians were labeled black. So basically you're saying that they didn't know who these people were? Really? When you have slave narratives where Indians were kidnapping other Indians who were married to Africans. One man had his wife kidnapped from him. They can distinguish who is a native and who is a African? You act like as if the people who were living that time didn't know who the hell they were. They knew they wasn't a damn native. They knew they wasn't a colored. They knew they wasn't Indian. They knew where they came from. Read the narratives. Oh, my ma was African. My pa was Indian. They knew who they were.